how did you arrive to Thailand? What was motivation behind it? What is your story? Like, where do you come from, and how did you arrive to live in Thailand? You're back in the US though now. I think
Yeah, I am now.
said you. Oh, so yeah, from the beginning, you're originally from US, correct?
Yeah, so I was born in New York City, the United States, but by the time I was 3, I was living in the San Francisco area of California. My parents are extensive travelers from before I was born, so they definitely gave me the travel bug as a kid. My first time abroad was to Athens, Greece. I was 12, turning 13, and it was life changing. Before that, I'd only been to Mexico, which Americans don't really call going abroad because it's just like, especially in California, it's not a long trip. So I'd been to Mexico like 10 times. I spoke some Spanish because of my mom is Cuban, so I had like familiarity with like differences, but the trip to Greece blew my mind. It was just incredible. We went to Istanbul after, and then we came home. So I got to see just the city of Istanbul, but that representation of Turkish culture. But in Greece, we traveled with a local celebrity. She was like a talk show host. It was popular in Greece at the time in the 90s. And she took us to Corfu, but then she took us to a public island that is only for like real Greek people. It's not like a place Americans even know about. And don't get me wrong, maybe now it's super popular. I don't know anything. This is 1992. But in 1992, I got to live.
You remember the name of the island?
I have asked so many times and I could find it, but I don't remember. I know it's near enough to Corfu that it's like within an hour's ferry ride from Corfu. I can tell you that much. So, I would love to find it out though, and because we have email and stuff, I will find out and let you know for sure. I don't think I can find out in the time we're doing this podcast, but I actually didn't even think I was going to talk about this, but it is important to understand why I went to Thailand, which is to say, while I liked Istanbul and I liked Athens and Corfu, the trip to the island is what sold me on traveling. It was incredible to be in a real microculture, and most Greek people speak enough English that as a 12, 13-year-old, it was very easy. I would go in and order these like little 10-minute eggs. I'd sit with all these old Greek men in the morning and they'd have coffee, and I would just sit there like wide-eyed, indulging in the experience of everyone knows I'm a foreigner, but they don't care because there's not a lot of other foreigners. So that's a precursor to when I got older, I started traveling all over, especially Europe. And my strongest desire was to see all of South America, but for financial reasons, and especially politically, when I was coming of age, it wasn't like the safest place to go at my age and to do like what I wanted to do, which was a car trip because of banditos. So it wasn't that you can't go like fly to Buenos Aires, fly to these places, but I wanted to do like a drive through Central America into South America. And I said I wasn't really interested in Asia, only to point out how weird it is that I ended up living in Thailand, a famous Asian city. So what happened was I was in graduate school in a language program, and I was an ESL teacher. I taught adults English as a second language in America. So I taught over 100 language groups, people from over 100 countries, and I did it 5 days a week for 9 years with about 6 days off a year. It was an incredible experience. I've met and interacted. At one point in my life, I was spending more time with people who don't speak English in America than people who speak English in America. It was a very weird experience. And all throughout that, I was courting and falling in love with a U.S. citizen who was raised in Thailand by her Thai parents. She looks Thai, she is Thai, but she was born in America and she had full citizenship, and she was also a teacher. So we were getting along and working together, and we ended up falling in love and getting married. And that's why I lived in Thailand. She wanted to live in Thailand. I wanted to live in America. She also wanted to live in America. I didn't mind living in Thailand, but I didn't want to only live there. So we started doing these experimental trips. We do like a month at a time, then 3 months, then 6 months. And when I would travel with her and live there, we were in Bangkok for most of it, but in like an actual Thai part of Bangkok. I never saw, if you name 10 things tourists see in Bangkok, I have seen none of them. I have never done like a white American tourist trip to Thailand. I also, same with Phuket. Like, I can't tell you what these popular destinations are like. I can only talk about Hua Hin and the parts of Bangkok I was in, but I was immersed. I did at one point speak Pidgin Thai. I would say like a 5-year-old. I got pretty advanced. Thai people were surprised by how much I was able to do, but also not like impressed and ready to talk to me like an adult. So, I was I'm not bragging is what I'm trying to say, but that's most of what I want to talk about today is culture shock and how hard it is to try to belong, feel like you never belong. And even with a family who speaks some English, they would break into Thai whenever they felt like it. They would literally talk about me in Thai. I could tell they were talking about me. I knew enough pronouns and words. It wasn't even like they were saying mean things. It was just, why would we talk in English, which slows us down, you know? So it was like that constant feeling of frustration where you want to take part in an adult conversation. You feel like, for Americans watching, you feel like the kid at the Thanksgiving kids table. Like you feel like no matter where you go, like you're just being told, like, you go over here where it's safe. We'll bring you food. We'll bring you water. If you need something, kind of like make a motion. And so yeah, so that's, I would say that's a good introduction to why I was in Thailand. And so that was a period of 3.5 years where I was living on and off in Thailand. And the longest, like I said, was about 6 months.
Yeah, it's really interesting because at the end nowadays, like what you get from Thailand, no, like the images that you get from Thailand, especially now. I don't know back then. I assume it has been always a super touristic destination at the end, if not the most touristic place in South Asia, probably. And
yeah,
and now this whole, since some years, you also see this whole bunch of digital nomads living there, but not being really connected to probably what is the real Thai experience, or like being a local in there, no? But in the way that you say it, also you had difficulties, even though you were having the option of like being part of a family and being in a non-touristic area, more like a local spot in Bangkok, as you said. It was difficult for you, I assume, like the connection with the people. It's not only the language, it's also like they tried to protect you a little bit, maybe, or how was your first impressions when you arrived there? Like,
that's a really I mean, I should full disclosure, I am divorced from the woman I married. We do not talk anymore. We have a son who we share, and it's not a great situation. I'm not going to get into it because it's not point. There's no point to it, and I hold no animosity. Her family was always fine with me, but they are I think my son would be okay with him watching this someday and hearing this. They're weird. They're not normal Thai people. People in Thailand would tell me that. They would tell me that about themselves. They were most Thai people are extremely social, and they were not very social. So they're very normal in the Thai tradition of being family oriented and having a large family and always being welcome. But they were not. There's a big class divide in Thailand, and they were on one side of it, and their side. This I don't mind saying because it's my opinion. They were on a political side I would not be on if I lived in Thailand. So, like, as a U.S. citizen who's dealing with the political stuff going on here, which everyone knows what I'm alluding to, I would not have been on the side her parents were on in Thailand, which was a similar side as the side I'm also not on in America, which is preserving wealth and class and like keeping that division pretty hard. And for those of you who understand Thailand and like the history of it, I was there in 2013 to 16. So it's after they had a prime minister get caught for bribing the public. He was thrown out. And so it was like very hard as an American because the person they threw out was a scumbag. The person they replaced him with was a scumbag. This actually, I was going to say this at the very end, but I will bring it up now because I think it's important. It's a kingdom. So I was living in a kingdom, which is not what you think when you hear an American talk about a kingdom. It was not like, the England has a figurehead named Queen Elizabeth. No. Their king had real power, and you stand up and you like pray to him, and it's very different as an American. There's no free speech, none whatsoever. So to go back to what you said, they weren't protecting me, but they were like very dismissive of like if I asked a question. Anything that even came close to politics, they would go, we don't talk about that. Like, no matter what. Like, never. I couldn't get one word. My wife, she'd talk about it, like, as much as I wanted, but she wasn't politically educated, nor did she care. She had, like, no concern. She was raised in a class where that's, like, not her job. It has nothing to do with sexism. She just didn't care. So, they had servants who were the kind of people I would normally get along with and like want to know, but they were not allowed to talk to me either for a different reason about that kind of stuff. And so like at restaurants they would order for me, but that was actually awesome. Like the best. Like we go to Hua Hin and they would order like off the menu things that only Thai people know how to ask for. They never once said like make it not spicy for the the gaijin, the like the white guy, the what do they call us? Anyway, it'll come to me. Or not papaya, but there's a fruit that's white, and that's what they called us.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Which is also funny. I do like to bring this up to, 'cause I think Europeans and Americans have this idea of like nobility and cultural respect. Go live in an Asian country and you will see no cultural respect for the European or Western cultures, but not in a mean way, just in a like, it's pretty normal to be dismissive of the other. And like, I think it would do better for Western people to understand that when they're dealing with Asian countries and other countries, because I think they expect us to have dictators and leaders who are strong. That's like a part of most Asian cultures. So it's not that they like it, but they expect it. And so like when you come in and you're like, everyone share your feelings, let's like talk, that doesn't like work. So as far as protecting me and how that went, it was more like just you do what you want, but don't break any rules that would embarrass us. Like that's the best way I could say it.